All right, guys, back to work. Back to work. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. Boy, big week ahead of us. Got some big CPI report coming out later this week. Got some beautiful ranges on the charts right now. You know me, I love range bond markets. Now, if you're here for the first time right now, ranges can be tricky, right? I used to hate ranges when I was a new trader, but trust me, once you learn some simple rotation techniques on range bond markets, these will soon become your favorite markets to trade. I have a handful of trades, pretty easy trades we're tracking for tomorrow. By the time we're done tonight's video, you'll have an easy roadmap to make some money on Tuesday morning. Now, before we jump in and talk my favorite trades for tomorrow, make sure you subscribe to our channel. I don't want you to miss tomorrow night's video, so make sure you subscribe. And if you enjoy these videos, if you like these lessons, hit that like button for me, will ya? Give me a shout out, give me a hell yeah down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for tuning in, supporting our channel. Enough of the intro though. Let's get into for Tuesday. Boy, a couple minutes late here on the video tonight. Thank you so much for your patience. Had some internet problems today. But that's all right, though. We're professionals here on this YouTube channel, and the show must go on here. Now, I have three important clues right now on these charts in front of me that are telling us where the winning trades are waiting for us to make some money tomorrow. One of those important clues is right here on these 60-minute time frames. It's very easy to see right now. The S&P and SPY is bullish on the 60. The Nasdaq, the triple Qs are bullish on the 60. I like to use the 60 time frame here to give me the overall directional bias. That will give us the best direction, but you know what the time frame, these 60-minute charts do not do? They do not give us the entry tactics. Don't give us the right support and resistance. So I like to use these higher time frames for overall direction, but entry timing, levels of support and resistance, we'll drill down and talk about that on our faster time frame, some tick charts here in a moment. Before we do that though, before we talk about entry tactics for tomorrow, let's check our schedule for tomorrow, because tomorrow is a wide open day. Remember, everyone is coming in waiting for that CPI report and the FOMC announcement coming on Wednesday. Pretty much all the big news this week is on Wednesday. A little guy there on PPI on Thursday, but tomorrow, wide open day tomorrow. We'll talk about tomorrow night. We'll come back tomorrow night and talk about getting ready for CPI and FOMC on Wednesday, but be aware, that's what everybody is kind of eyeing right now later on in the week. Let's get back to our charts though, because it's good to know when the news is, but the money is made on these charts. I mentioned earlier, got three important clues right now. Tell me where the winners are going to be for tomorrow. One of those clues is right here on the 60-minute. I got two more important clues though on some faster time frames. Let's now drill down to our tick charts here and talk about entry timing on the tick charts. Tick charts, by the way, that is a 7,000 tick chart, upper left-hand corner there. Tick charts make pattern recognition a whole lot easier. And by the way, if you're watching for the first time right now, that is the 21 EMA right now. It is pretty much the only indicator we use every day in our trade room at 8 o'clock Eastern time. There are two more important clues, I think even more important clues here on the tick charts. One of them is this trading range right in the middle. Now, what do we know about ranges? Two things about ranges. One is they're magnets, and two, they love to rotate. They go down, up, down, up, down, up, back and forth. So if you think about that range in the middle as a magnet, I'm going to sell high, I'm going to buy low, and trade the rotation. That's where the money is made in range bond markets. We'll talk about trading that rotation in a moment. Before we do that though, there's one more important clue though. That strong move down after that non-farm payroll number last Friday morning. Now, why would that be a big clue? Well, one thing we talk about a lot in our free video classes is that anytime we see a strong move in one direction, it's almost like unfinished business. So a strong run down for the bears, don't be surprised we find our way at some point tomorrow or Wednesday especially back down to that area and then make that run back up, going overall with the overall bullish market on the 60 minutes. So whenever I see a strong move like that, I always think, okay, don't be surprised. Find our way back to that low, kind of finish off that retest we see in our trade room, and then get that run back up again. As you can imagine, I would love some bear traps down there around that breakout pullback zone underneath. So put all three of these clues together. We're overall bullish, so we know the overall directional bias where things are easier. But again, look at the range right now. I got range Triangles overhead, triangles underneath. Look at how that range is rotating back and forth right now. And we're looking at buy low, sell high, and lots of reversals, right? Lots of reversal patterns in a range market. Now, we are bullish overall, right? So let's talk about one more scenario. Is a breakout, right? So one thing we might get for tomorrow, it seems a bit unrealistic with being that CPI report coming on Wednesday, but if we can break out, a breakout pullback is the next thing on our radar. Again, this seems a bit unrealistic because of CPI and FOMC on Wednesday, but that'd be kind of another scenario we'll get ready for here tonight on the video. So I told you by the time we're done tonight, a pretty easy roadmap to make some money on this. We'll talk about this breakout pullback. We'll definitely talk about some reversals right off of that high. And of course, one of my favorite trades here for this week is that kind of bear trap coming in off of that low, trading that rotation. So let's talk about this price going higher right now. We'll talk about the short off the high, the breakout pullback, and later on in the video, we'll talk about if we roll over, because there probably is some money to make going short on the way down and then buying it up right as we run back up into that trading range. So grab some notes, take some screenshots, because this will be a masterclass in making money with range rotation. Now, first of all, as we go higher here, this is not a great place to be a buyer, right? We know that ranges are magnets. They love to rotate back and forth. So I can definitely sell up here, but I have to be careful, right? Because we're overall bullish, and we're pretty bullish as we rotate off of that low. Knowing this, there are two types of reversal patterns off the high I'm looking for tomorrow, and you might want to keep on your radar as well. One of them is called a crown reversal pattern. Now, in the free video course, we talk about two entry patterns. One's called a failure and one's called a trap. Again, we teach these in the free video course. If you put together a failure pattern and a trap pattern, you get a crown reversal. It's very simple. As we go up into areas of resistance, I don't want to buy up here, right? We're too high to buy with that range below me. So what I'll do is see if I can trap in some rookies, right? When I was a rookie, I wasn't aware of how ranges work. So I can get some rookies coming in, let the buyers come in, try once, go lower, because of course buyers want to buy low, try a second time. Now we've got two tries for the buyers. That means their stops are sitting right below that low. And I now have a bull trap above that high. Again, a failure and a trap pattern. Put those two together and you now have a crown reversal pattern. So one way to trade that rotation off the high here today is to wait for price to take out some of these highs up here, trap those rookie buyers in, get that price a little bit above that high, nice strong red candle, closing firmly below the 21 EMA. That would be your crown reversal pattern. Remember, ranges love to rotate, right? So leave that runner, you know what they want to get to on the other side of that trading range. That's one of my favorite reversal patterns off the high of a range bound market. Now, another one, which is a little bit easier in my opinion, is a V-top. Now, V-tops are pretty simple. If we go up, I want to get that 1-2, trap the buyers in, right? And run those stops, right? That's the goal here. But you know what? Sometimes there are so many buyers who take their profit up there. Sometimes, we're a big move up last week, right? There might not be any more buyers up there willing to buy, and we may get shot right back down again. These V-tops can be very difficult on our emotions, our patience, but do not chase after them because you'll be rewarded with some patience. If we see a V-top up here and we start rolling off of that high like this, once you see us start grinding down, watch closely here. Draw a trend line off the low, bring that trend line now up around that high. The magic is right here. Look left. I want to get above one of these prior swings. This is where the money is made in a range reversal on a V-top. It V-tops, it grinds down, right? Then I want that first test off the high of that channel. Now, this could be a bull trap, like I'm showing you here. A lot of times, though, it'll be above the moving average. The buyers will come in and try to buy it right off that 21 EMA. That sets up for a failure pattern. Failure patterns lead to pullback patterns. This should all make sense, of course. if you guys are taking my free video classes right now. Failure, of course, in a strength move. So there's lots of ways in which we can short that V top off of that high. Again, could be a bull trap like that, could be a buyer failure, a pullback combination, a strength move. Again, this should all make a lot of sense if you guys are going through my free video classes. Now, that reminds me, I know that most of you guys watching right now, you know these patterns, you know how to make money with traps, you know how to trade these V-top reversals, you know why I love ranges. But if you're watching for the first time right now, this might be a brand new language for you. But don't you worry, I teach all these entry patterns. I have probably more than 100 examples of setups like these, all taught in a lot more detail in our free video classes. I'll put a link up top here for you. Don't you worry, upper right-hand corner, grab that link that popped up there and take that free video course, because the strategy I teach in that video series will teach you a simple trick we use in our members trade room, so we always know where the best winning trades are going to be each day. Now, knowing where is a good thing, but timing the entry is the most important thing. Help you time the perfect entry, help you start making money on your own. You'll learn failures, traps, all my favorite entry patterns. I teach the entire roadmap in that link that popped up there as part of our free video course. Guys, the markets are so good right now. Great volatility we're seeing right now. If you're not making consistent money every day, if you're still missing the best trades this morning, if you're struggling to qualify for a funded account at Apex or Top Step, hit that link up top there. Take that free course. It's perfect for someone trying to make the jump into full-time trading, because it's giving you an easy roadmap to follow every day that you trade. Also, be aware too, I'm going to put all the important links tonight in the description of the YouTube video. I'll put the free class links down there. Definitely start first with the free class, learn the roadmap, learn the setups. Also, too, we trade together every day in our trade room, 8 o'clock Eastern time. I'll put all that details, description of the YouTube video. And also, too, don't forget, too, I post a lot of updates on Twitter or X every day, videos, mindset stuff, chart updates. If you're on Twitter, give me a follow. Details or description there in the description of the YouTube video. But definitely start first, though, with that free video course. Learn the basic roadmap, and this will make a whole lot more sense next time you come back and watch on my YouTube channel, right? So again, as we go higher, we're trying to trade this rotation with a crown reversal, with a V-top reversal as we make our roll back down into that trading range. Now, one last thing here, and again, this seems a bit unrealistic because we got big news coming on Wednesday, and I will talk about how to make money going lower, because in all reality, I think that is where the easiest money is made this week. But before we do that, though, before we talk about the move going lower here, how would I trade a breakout pullback? You know, sometimes markets will just float, right? Sometimes markets will float into big news events, right? So if we do end up floating higher here, what you want to think about is there are really kind of two basic entry patterns I always look for during a breakout pullback. And again, right, it's a range, right? It's a big range market here. If I get enough lift off, I could then look for a breakout pullback pattern off what was resistance, right, becomes support. Now, there are lots of ways to make money with the move here. First things first, if we do wind up grinding higher, we're going to grind it higher today. If we do wind up grinding higher and floating higher like this, again, markets sometimes do float on low volume into major news events. If we do float going higher here, there's one specific type of entry pattern I always look for on the way going higher. It's a strong pop-up. It's a separation off the moving average. Look back here, right? Notice how the market separates, right, off that moving average. You know what I mean, right? It's not grinding up, right? If it grinds up, these are a lot more difficult. What I want is, I want to see it get a little pop-up, separate off that moving average. That's kind of the setup. Then I want a higher high in price, and I'm going to go right below that low. These are very simple patterns. They're called trap patterns. This one, of course, called a bear trap pattern. If you look closely, you can see one right there. We saw one today, right? So kind of pops up, shallow pullback, higher high in price, and of course, right below that low, right? That'll be your bear trap pattern going higher. So that pattern going higher, right? That's what I want to see up over here. Right? Again, they're called trap patterns. We talk a lot about those in our free video course. Now, one really cool thing about breakouts is the breakout leg can be used now as a measuring leg. So the size of that breakout leg, I can then pin it at the low there, and that creates a measured leg. Guys, if you want to make more money, get better at holding on to your winners longer. Knowing how range breakouts work is one easy way to be confident or disciplined, right? To let that winner run. So that will give us an idea of where that market wants to go. Again, a bear trap going up. Now, once I take out that measured move, I do not want to buy up here. I now want to buy nice and low. Now, when I think about a breakout pullback, I want to buy nice and low. To do that, I'm going to look for a two-legged pullback. Now, what is a two-legged pullback? In my eyes, a two-legged pullback is a bit more than a measured move. Okay, get underneath that 21 EMA. Again, a two-legged pullback is a bit more, right, than a measured move. Think about that one leg, that two leg. Now, that will give us the general entry location. I am not going to pick that bottom. We're not going to blindly buy that two-legged pullback. What I'll do is, once I complete that two-legged pullback, then I'm going to wait and see what happens on the pullback to 21 EMA. If I see the bears come in, if the bears come in and begin to whack this thing lower, that's your reversal back into that range again. Oftentimes, it'll grind down, right? Now, remember, don't forget grinder, mark that low, mark that high, and what do? You get that first test off that high, right? So keep an eye on that if it kind of rolls over and grinds back down again. A lot of times, though, what happens is it pulls back. We get that move going higher. We get our two-legged pullback, right? It pulls back to the moving average, but now the bears are unsuccessful. Now they try once, they try twice. Now think about this. Nice strong run higher, overall bull market, holding the top. Again, what was resistance now becomes an area of support, and the bears are trying a couple times, are struggling to keep this going lower. Now think about this. If I'm a seller right there, and I've got two tries on it, where are my stops? My stops are sitting right there. Let's juice those stops, run those stops, and look for this pattern. Look for a failure into, remember, bear traps, right? Traps are always the trade I look for whenever I'm trying to buy nice and low. In the trade room, we call this a failure, right? A failure pattern, two tries for the bears, run those stops, a failure into trap combination, a failure into pullback combination. As always, the market wants to go back up and take out that high, right? Take out that high. That should be a big target on the way higher. And another big target is mark up the size of that leg, pin it down at that deeper part of the pullback, project that higher here, leave that runner for that measured move overall. So again, when I think about a breakout pullback, I want to see us go up, get underneath that moving average a bit more than a measured move, right? A bit more than that measured move. And again, don't be naive. Don't pick that bottom. Don't blindly buy that. This could easily roll all the way back down again. And you guys know what I'm looking for. If we do, trap those bears in. Let those rookies get short right here. Trap the stops in, two try failure into a bear trap combination as we go higher here. That is the way I like to trade a breakout pullback. So now we know how to short this thing off the high. Definitely good trade for tomorrow, look for. And if they're lucky and keep grinding up, we now know the way to trade this thing on the pullback. And again, right, if it does wind up rolling over and grinding down, you know exactly now how to short that thing, right, on that move going back down into that trading range. Now, let's wrap it up tonight on the NASDAQ now and talk about if we go lower, right? Because going lower, I'll tell you right now, there could be some very easy money made going lower. However, that also means we failed rotation. And failed rotation says, well, that's a lot of momentum now for the bears here. Let's go to the NASDAQ now. The S&Ps are looking good here now. Let's get NASDAQ going here right now. NASDAQ is very similar, of course, to the S&P 500. We're bullish overall here on the 60-minute. Again, the 60 is great for overall direction, but it's not that great for timing the entries or for finding the right levels of support and resistance. Go back to our tick charts now. Tick charts are better for pattern recognition. This, of course, a 4,000 tick chart, the same 21 EMA. And this, we start to figure, okay, what type of condition are we looking at right now? What are my levels and how I time the best entry? You can see right away on the NASDAQ right now, we basically have one big range right there, right? And the market's, of course, beautifully rotating back and forth, right? They go up, down, and of course, possibly down, right? Back and forth here. We talked about earlier on the S&P how I can sell off the high, I can buy off of that low. And again, if the buyers get lucky tomorrow, right? And again, we may get this before that big news comes out on Wednesday. If we do wind up floating higher, we mentioned that breakout pullback, the same basic technique we mentioned earlier on the S&P. Very almost copy and paste there on the S&P to the NASDAQ. And again, don't forget, there is unfinished business right now off that non-farm payroll run lower. Anytime we see a strong move down like this, we know, again, I think of it as unfinished business, right? The bears have one thing on their mind right now. They want to get back and take out that, what's that, 940 low. It'll be a bit different there on the S&P. But that's why I keep thinking, right, this is probably where the big money is made for tomorrow. So how do we trade this, right? Can I short this thing going lower? I can, but you got to be careful right now. We have on the NASDAQ right now, we have a little tiny range right here, right? That range right there wants to finish up that rotation going higher. Now, if we get that run going lower here, this does set up for a shallow pullback zone. Remember how ranges work, right? They're magnets. So if I go lower here, okay, I can buy this. But what's the problem though? The problem is we still know that unfinished business is right there below us, right? So you can be a bit careful buying in a shallow pullback. In my trade room, we always say shallow pullbacks, buy with traps. What's a trap look like? A trap is bears trying once, going higher, bears trying twice. This is a slight variation of a failure pattern, right? It's basically bears once, bears twice. This, of course, now tells us now all the sellers have their stops above that high, but because we're so high up, relatively speaking, to the rest of that range rotation, I want to be careful here and buy a trap pattern, right? Traps are right below that low. So a shallow pullback trap or shallow pullback, I want to look for a trap pattern. Now, if we wind up all the way back down to that low, now this is a great place to be a buyer. We're buying nice and low now. What's the problem though? The problem is all of that momentum coming down is going to want to pull back and retest that low. All right. Anytime we see a strong rotation off the high, all of that momentum says, just be aware, it's going to want to pull back and retest that low before it goes back up into that range. So we can buy it on the first test. We can definitely buy it on the retest. Let's talk about some variations of that here right now. If I find my way all the way down at that low, I'm not going to pick that bottom, right? I'm looking for one of those failures. Now remember, failure patterns are my bread and butter in a range market. Don't pick the bottom. Let the rookies come in and sell down here. This is a horrible spot to be a seller, right? I wouldn't want to sell at support with a range above me, overall bull market. No way I want to sell down there. But I can almost guarantee you there are new traders that enter these markets every single day. They don't know what they're doing. I would have sold that when I was rookie trader as well, and that's why I know these so well. So bears try once, bears try twice. Why twice? Because I want to trap in those bears and squeeze those stops. Now remember, failures almost always turn into trap patterns as it rotates off of that low, right? The way we trade the reversal off this range low is we look for the failure and then into a trap pattern, right? Failure into trap combination. A lot of examples of these inside the free video course. Now, be aware, I have a lot of times in my trade room where we'll run down, we'll get that beautiful failure pattern, right? It will give us a nice, easy winning trade to bounce off that low. But again, because of all that momentum going lower, oftentimes we take our profit off at the underbelly of that range. Always a good spot for a profit target are the edges of those ranges. We take our profit off, we remove risk, but now again, the mark comes down and takes out that low again, right? So again, a winning trade here, but now we get stopped out at our point of entry and the mark goes back to retest the low. Promise me right now, do not mistake this as a reversal. It needs to go a lot more than retesting that low to be a reversal. These are my favorite trades in a range bond market because anybody who sells short holds that breakout pullback, they'll take the bulk of their profit off at that low, right? In other words, the sellers here, they become buyers down here. Now, trap those rookies in again, get those bears trying once, trying twice. Don't pick the bottom, right? Trap the bears in, squeeze those stops. And again, what was it again? It will always be a failure into some sort of bear trap or pullback combination. Keep it simple tonight. My favorites are always bear traps. Those are always my favorite. There are some variations of this stuff we'll talk about tomorrow morning in the trade room, but keep it simple right now. It's a failure pattern and that trap pattern, right, combination as we go. That double bottom is oftentimes the most lucrative trade we see every week in our trade room. And last but not least here, there might be so many buyers down here. There may be so many buyers up here. We don't get the chance to trap them in and back up again. Sometimes there are so many bulls waiting down there because the overall bull market, it just whoop and runs right back up into that trading range. We saw one of these on the non-farm payrolls on Friday afternoon, right? Or Friday morning. Pops up, V bottom, starts grinding higher. And sure enough, what happens? Everyone wants that trap below that low, right? These V bottom reversal patterns are extremely reliable and can make your entire week on this. So if we end up rolling lower, but we can't get those bears trapped in and squeezed or stops, if all we get is that whoop right back up again, and now it starts grinding higher, promise me, do not chase after this. The hardest part about these is resisting the temptation to chase after it as it goes higher. Watch closely, draw a trend line off the highs, bring it down off that low. And again, as always, look left, find a prior swing. This is where the money is made consistently, right? It's the first test is the best test. The first touch of the low of that channel, right? First test, the best test. And again, it'll be below one of these prior swings. It'll be below the 21 EMA. That's where failures live. Again, failures into pullback combinations, pullbacks in strength trades going higher. We know these ranges love to rotate back and forth. So leave that runner trap pattern, failure pattern, pullback combo, strength move if there's a space up there overhead. Now we're talking that is a V bottom reversal. And again, as long as you're not chasing after it going higher, these are oftentimes one of the easiest ways to make money. Again, we saw an example of that back last Friday where it ran lower, popped right back up, begins to kind of grind higher. And all you're doing here is mark that high, bring off that low, that little tiny swing right there. No surprise, everybody piled on in that location, right? That's exactly what I'm talking about with that V bottom off of that low. All right, guys, now you know my game plan for tomorrow as we go higher for that short off the high. If the buyers get their breakout, right? Breakout, pull back. We know how that goes. We also know too, if we find our way all the way back down again, how to make that money, right? Buying off that low with bear traps, with failures, with double bottom reversals, and that V bottom I mentioned there a few moments ago. All right, guys, that's the plan for tomorrow. Now, don't forget, tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time, come trade this stuff with us. Guys, the easiest way to start making money in these markets to learn and trade along every morning in our trade room at 8 o'clock Eastern time. I'll put all the important links you guys need tonight, description of the YouTube video. Definitely start first on the free video course, learn the basic strategy, start making money on your own, and hopefully I'll see you sometime soon, trading sometime in the morning trade room as a member at 8 o'clock Eastern time. In the meantime, guys, hope you guys learned a bunch tonight. Hope you use this knowledge to make a killing here tomorrow. Thank you again so much for the patience tonight. A little bit of internet problems, but we're back on track here and finish the day strong here. Have a great day tomorrow. Make some money. In the meantime, be well, be nice to each other out there, and be here next time. Adios, amigos. Bye for now.